Grand Rising Galactic Jedis, and welcome to another live stream. Today, we're going to go over how the Alliance has actually been orchestrating what happened a few days ago with the capturing of Dora and how this is just the beginning of a larger global network. We're going to go over the different strategic um, programs that were initiated over the course of the last 20 years. So has been in the making for 20 years. And we're going to go over what they discovered. Not to mention, there was a lot of unraveling corruption involving US senators, a little bit over 60%. And this is going to lead into mass arrest, which is something that we've all been waiting for. For those that don't know me, my name is Ishmael Perez, and I'm the author of those two amazing books right behind me, The Secret Government, Invisible Architects, revealing the hidden war between the Earth Alliance and the Cabal, predating the Flood. And then, of course, Our Cosmic Origin, which is my groundbreaking work, restoring galactic history and cosmic information back to the Earth. A quick reminder for those that missed my beginning of January courses, I do have a new class, four classes actually, coming up on the 23rd. No, I'm sorry, the 24th and the 25th of January. For those that missed the deadline last time, I do have new classes up for grab. Our Cosmic Origin, my groundbreaking class, breaking down the entire cosmic infrastructure and also the entire history of the multiverse. And then I also have my 3 Ascension courses with Ascension 3.0, which is my newest course, and of course, Ascension 2.0 and Ascension Basics. So those classes begin on the 24th and on the 25th of January, which is just in about 3 weeks. So, go to my website immediately and make sure you guys secure your spot so I could see you on an interactive webinar in the next 3 weeks. Now, I also want to mention that there is an amazing product called Folium that completely eliminates all the nanoparticulates, the radiation from your body. It also cleans up what is known as the mitochondria. And when all of that happens, your body's natural healing processes go skyrocket. Okay, so this product is available through the link that I provide not only in the description, but also I put it in the comments at the end of the live. And then I also want to give gratitude to everyone that is here, especially to my moderators. Thank you guys so much for being here on time. And I know some of you guys are like, all right, let's get right into it. What is really happening beyond what the social media is telling us, right? Well, luckily for you guys, based on my connections with Commander Valiant Thor, I was able to actually get real Alliance intelligent briefings based on an operation that's been going on for approximately 25 years. So, okay, this is the origin of what they call the network identification, and you guys are going to love this. So, the identification of a supranational control structure, and I'm also going to go over the details that the U.S. Special Forces, Delta to be exact, implemented in the capturing of Maduro in the last few days. So this is coming from Strategic Alliance Counter Consolidation Unit, abbreviated SACCU, Executive Summary Report. So the Alliance, which of course is a multinational covert task group composed of military, intelligence, and civilian resistant functions, initiated this long-range surveillance and intelligence mapping operations as early as 2012. That's when all of this began that's when they started mapping out the takeover of these corrupt dictators. And so these operations uncovered patterns indicating that conventional organized crime networks and compromised political figures, and in a little bit, I will expose some of the senators, were not acting autonomously, okay? Findings pointing towards a centralized supranational, rather, control structure that operated through layers of secret societies. All roads lead to secret societies, including the installation of dictators, communists, and of course the drug cartels, okay? And I will explain that in a little bit. So the findings pointed towards a centralized supranational control structure operated through layers of secret societies, and I will reveal some of these secret societies, one of them in which no one has ever even heard of, but again, you guys will be hearing about it for the first time. They also discovered front institutions and even ancient orders that maintain plausible deniability and elite immunity. So apparently, these operations, the black market, the transferring of little kids, DRUGS, right, both legal and illegal, go back for thousands of years. Well, these networks provided the connective tissue. And again, this is an operation that began with the Earth Alliance back as early as 2012 right now. And I'm going to go through the details. You guys are going to love this. So it was so these networks provided the connective tissue behind global trafficking syndicates. And Maduro was a huge pond of that, or a huge structure for that, or nod, as they call it. It also government infiltration, of course, and financial shell systems that were all associated, judicial capture mechanisms as well. And at the heart of the model stood a cabal, of course, of secret society whose influence spanned centuries, hidden in plain sight. So, according to the intelligence discovery timeline, an operation that was conducted as early as 2012 under Project Deep Signal, there were some intercepts of diplomatic black channels or back channels, sorry, that were revealed, recurring coded references to the circle or the obsidian order, and even what they even call themselves the custodians. Okay, and this is the negative secret societies using positive words. Okay, so according to this briefing, as far back as 2012, signal intelligence confirmed that the use of arcane symbols and numerology in high-level communications were found. Parallel banking logs also showed synchronized financial flows that were tied to ritualistic calendar dates. Okay, so fast forward to 2016, from the Alliance Counter Society Directive, Human Intelligence. It is believed that from embedded sources within European financial institutions provided the links between clandestine orders and global development banks. So this is bigger than just taking out the cartels, guys. And like I said, this is just the beginning. This is an operation that is eventually going to dismantle all of the corruption throughout all of the American hemisphere and leading into a global elimination of corruption. Okay, so according to the Alliance briefings, the intelligence did recover from an off-grid meeting in Switzerland, and the Azores revealed initiation rights for new political operatives across Latin America. So apparently, all of those corrupt governments that have been run by the mafias in Latin America, including Mexico, were actually installed by the Swiss bank. All right. So here's the evidence. In 2019, the sovereign asset audit, which was conducted by the Whiteheads as back as 2019. And according to this document, the forensic accounting that led to the identification of thousands of front companies and development NGOs, which are non-government organizations with overlapping boards of trustees, many of whom trace lineages and allegiances to these three primary societies. Are you guys ready for this? The first secret society that all of these networks were tied to are known as the Knights of Malta. Well, the Knights of Malta have been functioning as the diplomatic enforcement arm for the what is known as the International Criminal Syndicate, as well as the Order of the Black Veil, which is an intelligence lodge that connects the Jesuits, the Knights of Malta, the Illuminati, and of course the Freemasons. And not to mention, there was also a group that they identified that called themselves the Custodians of the Gate, okay, which was a society traced to ancient technocratic frameworks. Well, all roads lead back to Atlantis when you guys really think about it, all right? So, under modus operandi, the network utilized multiple layers of separation and influence. We're talking about the shadow network that installed all of these dictators and corrupt figures all throughout the world. They used a legitimacy cloaks. They were selecting secret societies used religious orders in order to shield the activities and gain access to diplomatic channels. They also discovered an elite bloodline tracking where membership was often traced through familial lines and enabling generational control over finance, politics, and cultural institutions. They also discovered a fraternity uh, network, secret societies, where government officials were actually vetted and promoted only after passing through controlled fraternal or philanthropic filter institutions. So, within the global criminal operation, all roads lead to what is known as the Knights of Malta, which was acting as a diplomatic shell organization, enabling covert movements of assets, operatives, and intelligence by leveraging sovereign status and legacy influence within Western institutions. And some of you guys might be thinking, well, why did it take the Y hats all these years to figure this out? Again, they've been uncovering all of this since 2012. And before that date, before 2012, mind you guys that these networks were unseen and they were operating without no one knowing that they were all connected to the secret societies. Okay. So, because of this thing called compartmentalization, and what that means is that no single entity ever really saw the entire architecture. Think about it, where each cell believed it was an operating independently. And also because of misdirection operations, which means that intelligent agencies were apparently infiltrated by these networks, and they were then weaponized in order to discredit or eliminate whistleblowers and rogue investigators. Not to mention, also because of what is known as controlled opposition. This is where political dissent was often redirected through pre-approved safe opposition groups that neutralize momentum while appearing adversarial. So, according to the Alliance breakthrough within this period between 2012 and now, the breakthrough came after the seizure of encrypted data during a covert operation in the Canary Islands. Well, within the secured files was a digital codex titled The Continuity Directives of the Protocols of the Learned Elders of Zion. Wow. Identified as a control protocol outlining procedures for installing puppet leaders, for redirecting national security budgets, for orchestrating collapses of non compliant governments, for running synchronized media and education, and for, of course, executing what is known as disinformation programs. Well, cross referencing these directives with past events revealed predictive accuracy, confirming that the criminal governance worldwide was not chaotic, it was orchestrated. Okay. So the alliance now is operating on the basis of a full spectrum threat model that actually includes tactical eradication of criminal political nodes. And that explains why Maduro was the first one to go. He was a huge, huge key player in the American hemisphere. Okay. This is just the beginning, guys. Also, strategic isolation of societies acting as command clusters, psychological operations to awaken and mobilize local populations, and the naturalization of supranational access points like ports, embassies, and banking platforms. Well, with real time operations underway, the alliance assesses that the criminal globalist control grid cannot withstand continued exposure or structural decapitation. My friends, this is no longer a campaign against crime. Technically, this is a war against an ancient and hidden system of control that goes back to Babylon. So, according to the intelligence briefing titled Capture of Venezuelan Heads of State, we're going to go into the details, guys, as to how they were able to do so. So, this is for sensitive eyes knowing, classified document released on January 4th. So the executive summary reads that President Donald Trump publicly confirmed that the successful apprehension of Nicolas Maduro during a direct U.S. military operation conducted within Venezuelan territory was a success. Well, the target was secured alive, along with his spouse, and exfiltrated via U.S. military airlift. Well, the operation triggered immediate public reaction inside Venezuela prior to any official media acknowledgement. The mission was executed by Delta Forces, the first Special Force Operational Detachment Delta, operating under Joint Special Operations Command. The unit is tasked with hostage rescue, counterterrorism, and high value target capture missions conducted outside of conventional theaters, where mission failure is not an unacceptable outcome. Command and control were maintained within restricted channels. The operation was reportedly compartmentalized to exclude non essential personnel and was supported by select intelligence elements. So, this was, again, planned for quite some time. And of course, they waited till after the holidays to execute. Okay. So, this is all part of what they called an intelligence preparation program, which, again, this whole thing ties into the investigation that was unearthed by the White Hats going back to 2012 up to the present. So, the target location, we're talking about the details as to how they were able to arrest Maduro. The target location and movement were identified through a fusion of satellite based thermal surveillance, signals intelligence intercepts, human intelligence source from cartel affiliated informants in Brazil and Colombia. We're talking about how a small percentage of affiliates defected to give us the intel as to where Maduro was, because Maduro was apparently under a bunker. Okay. So, following the confirmation, guys, a full scale replica of the target compound was constructed at Fort Liberty. Delta Force elements rehearsed the assault repeatedly before conducting the arrest, incorporating underground structures, reinforced access points, and contingency escape routes. Well, the execution was a success, obviously. Insertion was conducted by the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment using low altitude flight profiles. Simultaneously, branches were initiated to neutralize parameter security and disrupt internal communications. Well, the compound where Maduro was secured was sieged within minutes. Maduro and his wife were actually located in an underground escape chamber and taken into custody without reported fatalities. Well, U.S. force exfiltrated both detainees along with classified documents, digital media, and secured vault contents. Witness accounts from Caracas indicate audible and visual confirmation of the operation. However, no official narrative was released prior to the presidential confirmation. Think about it, okay? All right, so the material was seized, and this is what the White Hats discovered, okay? They recovered materials reportedly include the digital storage devices and paper records, all the surveillance archives, and the financial and logistical documentations, which is enormous evidence to bring down the entire globalist syndicate. Well, preliminary review indicates potential links to international money laundering networks, covert logistics corridors, and research initiatives that were masked as development or aid programs. Well, all materials are now under U.S. military control for exploitation and legal review. So, Maduro's regime apparently functioned as a central logistics node, enabling transnational trafficking of weapons, energy resources, biological materials, and human cargo under diplomatic and military protection. Foreign security contractors and external intelligence linked actors were embedded within his protective apparatus. Well, the removal of this node, he was a huge major node, is assessed as a catalyst event rather than an end state. So what that means is that this is only the beginning, guys, all right? Indicators and warnings. Increase military air traffic into and out of Guantanamo Bay, forward staging and rotation of U.S. personnel through Honduras, Curacao, and Panama, accelerated asset seizures and shutdown of energy infrastructures tied to illicit networks, surrender by senior Venezuelan military officials carrying classified materials. So apparently, multiple sealed indictments connected to the former regime have reportedly been reactivated as of the 4th of January, which is yesterday. So, yes, today is the 5th of January, 2026. And yes, my friends, we are on a positive timeline trajectory. All right. So, the capture operation of Maduro is assessed as a demonstration of reach and intent. Follow on action are expected across the entire region of Latin America. Like I said, this is just the beginning, with a focus on dismantling transnational criminal and trafficking structures. All right, so this operation represents the opening phase of a broader campaign aimed at systematic disruption rather than territorial control. So, the next part of the briefing is also an executive overview. And in the next 6 months to a year, the U.S. Special Operation Forces, led by Delta Force, have transitioned from a single target capture, Maduro, mission to a coordinated entire hemispheric posture. What that means is that the objective is the simultaneous arrest of politically embedded corruption networks across selected South and Central American governments, including the compromised Mexican government apparatus that is heavily influenced by the Mexican mafia. All identified criminal networks in Latin America have been operated under the strategic directions of the Knights of Malta, acting as an intermediary authority for a broader, unnamed globalist power structure. Well, the intelligence modeling within the scenario has identified a multi layered control system. So, the first one they call Tier 1, which is the criminal syndicate cartels, the criminal syndicates which operate the cartels, the trafficking, the consortia, and all of the financial laundering cells. Okay, so so they're taking down the globalist um, based on tier 1, and then tier 2 is the political enablers, and they're next. Okay, so tier 1 is happening right now, and this is an operation that's going to take about 6 months. All right, Mexico and other parts of Latin America are next. Tier 2, guys, tier 2 is the arrest of all the political enablers, including elected officials, ministers, and judicial authorities. Tier 3 will be the supranational coordinators. So at the apex of this hierarchy sits the Knights of Malta. For those of you that have read The Secret Government, I go into detail, even describing the 24 protocols of the learned elders of Zion, which is stated there in plain sight, 24 ways in which the globalists would eventually consolidate world power into a one world government. For those that have not read The Secret Government, that book is full of details, okay? So the apex of this hierarchy, according to this briefing, is all controlled by the Knights of Malta. Now, who are the Knights of Malta? Some of you guys might be thinking. Well, you have the Bavarian Illuminati being the financial arm of the Vatican, and then you have the Knights of Malta controlling the criminal networks. So, it's not a religious body. Apparently, it is a covert administrative secret society that influences everything, that apparently has immunity because nobody really throws them under the bus, and it has legitimized and conferred and compromised, a bunch of political actors. Okay, that's what the Knights of Malta were doing or have been doing since their inception. So governments within this scenario that are working with the Knights of Malta, um, no, yeah, let me just say it like this: governments within this scenario do not collapse due to invasion. Okay, it's impossible, but due to internal capture. And that is what's happening right now, where policy decisions are dictated by criminal revenue protection rather than national interest. So, the Delta Force elements are depicted as forward positioned across the entire hemisphere using deniable vectors, and that includes joint training missions, narcotics task force, humanitarian and disaster response staging, as well as intelligence liaisons detachments. Well, these deployments are going to create overlapping access corridors into multiple capitals, enabling near simultaneous arrest operations designed to prevent coordinated resistance or flight. Well, one of their first priorities after the arrest of Maduro is Mexico, which is priority number one for the alliance. Why is that? Well, not to mention it's right next to us, underneath us, but most importantly, it has been known that Mexico has been designated as a priority node due to its portrayal as a convergence point between political authority and organized crime. Senior officials are assessed as functioning as custodial managers for cartel interests rather than sovereign policymakers. So the arrest operations are planned to remove entire decision making clusters within hours, targeting executive leadership figures, security ministry officials, and even financial regulators. And the objective is rapid decapitation of the criminal political interface. So, projected effects of this operation is to collapse the transnational trafficking corridors, right? Bleeding the cabal's main money supplier dry. It's also disruption of the illicit financial flows, exposure of protected political figures, and severance of hemispheric control from supranational oversight. This is not portrayed as a regime change through occupation, okay, but as a systematic purification through precision arrest. The American hemisphere, long depicted as externally managed, is rendered autonomous by the elimination of its corrupt intermediaries. So, this operation is designed to dismantle an entire control architecture, not merely remove individual actors, but the entire syndicate. So, this next part of the briefing, Alliance Intelligence Briefing, comes from the U.S. The title, I'm sorry, the subject is U.S. Congressional Collusion with the Maduro cartel regime. Apparently, over 60% of senators that are working within the U.S. government have been receiving millions from Maduro. Okay, this briefing comes from classification contingency tier level 4, compiled by Allied Counter Narcotics Task Force, Western Hemisphere Division. Executive summary. So, a classified alliance inquiry initiated following the successful extraction of Nicolas Maduro by U.S. Special Operation Forces has uncovered preliminary intelligence suggesting that over 60% of sitting U.S. senators have received illicit financial transfers linked to the Cartel de los Soles, which is a Venezuelan narco paramilitary structure overseen by the now deposed Maduro regime. Among the most prominent flagged figures is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul, who, despite his public opposition to U.S. military action in Venezuela, has now been named in a first tier intelligence package based on whistleblower testimony from a defector within the Maduro intelligence ministry. The source provided a sworn deposition and encrypted documentation showing that Senator Rand Paul accepted seven-figure cartel bribes between the years 2019 to 2024, funneled through shell foundations and crypto transfer chains traced to Cartel de los Soles operatives operating out of Bogota and Merida. The purpose of the transfers was block or stall Trump-aligned counter-cartel legislation, undermine preemptive strike authority via congressional resolution, protect key fentanyl and arms corridors through U.S.-Mexico entry points, maintain diplomatic shielding for compromised NGOs acting as trafficking proxies. Alliance Forensic Behavior Analysis note that several congruences between known cartel influence protocols and Senator Paul's public actions, repeated use of congressional privilege to delay or obstruct Venezuela-related sanctions packages. Also, they discovered, in relation to Senator Paul, his last name's Paul, authorizing and co-sponsoring legislation restricting executive military authority in narco state operations. Also, public denunciation of targeted strikes on cartel assets as illegal or war crimes, and coordination with international libertarian front groups later tied to the dark money deposits in Cayman-based vectors. So all of this derived what the White Hats called the Venezuelan list. Well, we have the Epstein list, right? Now we have the Venezuelan list incriminating all of the U.S. politicians that were apparently making millions with Maduro. So this is what they call the Venezuelan list. Parallel investigations have produced a classified roster of 37 U.S. federal lawmakers under preliminary suspicion of illicit cartel financing. The working name, the Venezuela list. Profiles flagged include 7 committee chairs in finance and intelligence and in foreign affairs. 3 former presidential candidates, Mitt Romney being one of them, Mint Romney, whatever his name is, the Mormon guy. 12 senators with direct or indirect family holdings in Latin America. 5 U.S. ambassadors that were stationed between 2012 and 2023 in cartel adjacent nations. And get this, 4 U.S. presidents prior to Trump. They were all on the payroll. Okay? This is what they call the Venezuelan list. Senator Paul's name appears in Tier 1 priority position on this list. And the consequences and strategic assessment was this: the existence of a compromised congregational faction functioning as a legitimate firewall, or rather as a legislative firewall, for a hostile narco-terrorist regime poses a level 1 domestic national security risk scenario. Okay. Implications will include, for all of those U.S. government traitors that were part of this criminal network, or at least getting paid, this is what it includes: sabotage of U.S. and allied military operations through illegal obstruction, which is treason, strategic disinformation campaigns originating from within Senate subcommittees, exposure of classified tactics, and that includes troop movements and counter cartel intelligence to foreign hostile entities. Not to mention shielding of fentanyl distribution networks. They were responsible for the shielding of this, as to why so many of these things came into the States, responsible for mass U.S. civilian casualties. So a lot of those people that were overdose due to all of this stuff were a lot of these politicians. Okay. The next step is this. Okay. ongoing, what they call SIGINT. The best way to describe it is this: ongoing cross confirmation of bribe trails, including blockchain analytics, black site interviews with tier 2 cartel defectors expected in Honduras within the next 72 hours, domestic arrest under sealed indictments pending military tribunal clearance, and contingency planning for high profile political fallout and media infiltration scenarios. So, all of this is triggering domestic investigation protocols immediately. Okay. So, leverage strategic silence is pending completion of evidence recovery. And that is to treat all Venezuela linked U.S. political entities as presumptively compromised until cleared. Okay, so this next part of the briefing comes from classified Continental Justice Directorate Alliance Command. Okay, Alliance Command. So, following the forensic exposure of the U.S. political figures linked to Cartel de los Soles financing, including but not limited to Senator Rand Paul, Alliance Command has greenlit the activation of tribunal stage operations within continental United States. Well, these procedures, governed under Directive 47-A, Domestic Complicity in Transnational Warfare, authorize the pre-tribunal containment and legal processing of U.S. officials identified as enemy collaborators in active narco-terror activities. Tribunal facilities have been activated at 3 undisclosed U.S. military locations, including a fortified naval facility in the southeast region designated TRIBCOM-3. So under alliance protocols, civilian courts are not recognized as viable for prosecuting enemies of the state engaged in war-level conspiracy with foreign criminal governments. So the following legal conditions are set in motion, and that is the suspension of congressional immunity under emergency security status 29B-A, military jurisdiction authorization for all persons suspected of aiding designated transnational enemy entities, and the use of sealed indictments directed by joint tribunal panels with authority to detain and to try sitting members of government in classified proceedings. So these tribunal nodes have been secured. The first tribunal infrastructure node is known as TRIBCOM-1, which is Western U.S. Air Force installation holding capacity 33 high-value targets. The second one is TRICOM-2, which is the Midwestern decommissioned NSA black site repurposed. And the third one is called TRICOM-3, which is an active naval operations center equipped for live intelligence processing and parallel military trials. So all of these facilities meet security criteria for 24/7 surveillance, zero external communications, compartmented adjudication cells, and transport tunnels for the interbase relocation without civilian detection. So phase 1 of the target processing timeline, as implemented by the Alliance, is as follows. Phase 1 is called the pre-arrest clearance, which is the verification of convergence on each target, the verification of the convergence of each target, cross-agency clearance from Alliance Domestic Threat Command, DTC, and then that goes into phase 2, which is the extraction teams, position in progress throughout all of Latin America, and that will involve the Delta SEAL team and civilian law enforcement liaisons embedded in proximity to key targets under active surveillance, not to mention synchronized arrest windows scheduled to prevent flight or legal maneuvering. And then that will lead to phase three, which is what they call the tribunal transfer and processing. And that is pending as I speak, according to this report. So the tribunal transferring and processing, which is pending, involves or includes immediate black bag transfers upon arrest, no media notification or official statements until after verdict assurance. Detainees processed under terror affiliate government clause of the directive, and that includes Senator Rand Paul status, tier level 1, national security breach, okay, legislative. Charges, material aid to narco-terrorist states. So again, Rand Paul, the Kentucky senator, is being charged with these charges. Material aid to narco-terrorist safe state, obstruction of allied anti-cartel operations, complicit in fentanyl trafficking resulting in civilian mass casualty events. And so the tribunal assignment is 4 member allied justice tribunals, including 1 former special counsel and 2 military intelligence officers. Subject is, we're talking about the senator from Kentucky. Subject is currently under constant ISR, which is intelligence surveillance, reconnaissance, monitoring. Extraction team in position pending coordination go order. So apparently they're going to try to leverage or get more information out of him. So the purpose of the tribunal phase is not political retaliation. It is a systematic cleansing of compromised government structures that enabled the growth of hostile criminal syndicates within the U.S. borders. And so these are not criminal prosecutions. They are wartime adjudications. The alliance is planning delayed disclosure. The alliance plans the delayed disclosure following conviction until they finish the operation, and that is the takedown of the entire North American network and asset seizures operations, which means that the media outlets known to have financial links to cartel-aligned PACs and nonprofits are being mapped for neutralization in tandem with the political arrests that are coming. Wow. Public briefings will occur only after jurisdiction is secured and mass destabilization risk are minimized. So the projected outcome is this. Dozens of active lawmakers, advisors, and even lobbyists removed from the U.S. government immediately, okay? Cartel political infrastructure severed at the federal level. Establishment of a fortified precedent for military-led domestic cleanup under transnational threat conditions. And this next part of the report comes from the Alliance Senior Command for internal review only. All right, so let me show this part of the report now. This is what the subject of this report is: post-tribunal U.S. government reconstruction under alliance oversight. Okay, that is the subject of this next part of the report. Classification code black, which means it's not, it's still classified. Prepared by Directorate of Constitutional Restoration, Alliance Central Command. All right, so following the arrest and tribunal processing of compromised U.S. federal lawmakers that were involved in the Maduro regime, including multiple senators, cabinet-level officials, and even intelligence officers, Alliance Command will initiate Phase 4 operations, which means post-corruption government stabilization and constitutional restoration. This operation, codenamed Project Phoenix, aims to restore lawful governance under the original constitutional network, neutralize systematic infiltration points across all branches, reconstitute federal authority under direct alliance supervision for a limited transitional period, and prevent counterattacks or infiltration by residual cartel aligned actors. The plan ensures that all actions remain legally and morally aligned with the principles of a sovereign constitutional republic, while acknowledging the reality of wartime judicial conditions. So the neutralization summary is as to totally remove from government all the politicians that were embedded within the criminal network, including the 38 senators, the 89 representatives or House of Representatives, the 11 federal judges. Oh my God, this is like 90% of the government, guys. It's coming, right? It's coming. Finally, the arrest. Executive branch officials, 14 of those, and 200 plus senior staff, lobbyists, PAC directors. Okay, so that's part of the plan. And that includes assets seized, networks dismantled, and communication channels severed across federal infrastructure. The duration of this operation, according to the White Hats, is 6 to 12 months. Okay. So the Alliance Transitional Executive Directorate, as they call it, ATED, has a composition, and its composition is that 5 senior military officials, Joint Operations Command, have also been indicted. 2 former constitutional scholars, nonpartisan, 1 civilian representative per U.S. region, and 1 tribunal liaison for legal continuity. And so the key powers temporarily assumed budgetary allocation, National Guard Military Mobilization Authority, emergency election planning, and judicial appointed veto. All state governments remain intact unless separately compromised. Alliance units will coordinate directly with governors and state level agencies. And so the legislative seats include special emergency elections authorized under Executive Restoration Order 1776-B. Candidates are going to undergo full spectrum vetting, financial behavior, and foreign contact audits. AI-assisted background integrity analysis employed to direct or detect embedded actors is also going to be implemented. And in terms of the judicial seats, emergency judicial councils temporarily empowered to issue rulings pending new appointments. Tribunal vetted justices will be selected via rapid nomination by vetted bar panels. And so the security enforcement is the internal surveillance will continue under Operation Glass Dome. Remaining cartel-aligned officials monitored under ISR, Intelligence Surveillance Reconnaissance Authority. All communications between domestic actors and foreign intelligence flagged for real-time review. Military units on standby in 16 federal zones to neutralize resistance cells. And so a 3-stage disclosure plan will introduce the American public to the scale of the corrupt removed, the constitutional basis for military tribunal intervention, the roadmap back to civilian-led constitutional governance, media outlets previously compromised by cartel-linked financing will be decommissioned or restructured. So a transitional communication network, Free Signal, will serve as a verified channel for government updates, which is what we've been calling the EBS. Objective and end state is that Project Phoenix does not seek to reinvent the Republic. It seeks to restore it, intact, uncorrupted, and sovereign. The Alliance projects the following outcomes: secure, verifiable elections within 12 months, because we are approaching midterm, full reactivation of the Bill of Rights and separation powers, zero tolerance for foreign influence in domestic policymaking, and legal immunity withdrawn from all prior covert actors, regardless of title. So once these conditions are stabilized and verified by the DCR, which is the Directive Commission Reconnaissance, the alliance governance will dissolve and the full power will revert back to the American people. End of briefing. Um, Codename Government Restored US X3, prepared by the Directive of Constitutional Restoration. Now, this next part of the intelligence briefings subject is called the expansion of alliance oversight into foreign government post US stabilization. Classification code black, which means it's classified, prepared by International Counter Subversion Command, ICSC, Alliance Central Command. So within this executive summary, the plan is this, okay? With the successful execution of what they call Project Phoenix and the post-tribunal stabilization of the United States under transitional alliance governance, the Directive Sector 9 is now in effect, authorizing the expansion of alliance-led anti-corruption and anti-cartel operations across foreign governments compromised by transnational criminal syndicates. Initial focus will be on hemispheric containment, the complete removal of cartel across the entire planet, the dismantling of globalist aligned political regimes, and the exposure of supranational secret society influence structures acting as command nodes for geopolitical destabilization. This operation is not diplomatic, guys. It is a strategic warfare executed quietly, precisely, and without conventional military engagement unless resistance thresholds are crossed. Primary target regions, beginning with Mexico, the country that is closest to us. The status of Mexico, according to this review, is it is a high-risk operational theater. That's what they call it, right? So, government described in Mexico as partially controlled by a cartel political alliance functioning under narco-mafioso governance model. Top-level political offices aligned to be coordinated via Cartel de Sinaloa and CJNG intelligence proxies. Multiple governors in Mexico and national security officials identified on Alliance Tier 1 arrest list. Operations will center on decapitation strikes, data seizures, and tribunal handovers under cross-border task force authority. After Mexico, which is run by the Sinaloa Mafia, the Mexican government is owned by the cartel. Let's just be real. After them in the plan is Colombia. Okay, this is what they called the taking out of the Colombian mafia. So, according to their status, it's transitional. First comes the elimination of the corruption in Mexico, and then Colombia's next. So that includes post-Petro collapsing that has left a fragile power vacuum, interim technocratic government under alliance observation. Key focus to dismantle FARC revival cells and remove embedded European intelligence contractors posing as infrastructures and NGOs. After Colombia is Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay. This is what they call the tri-border area. Status, deep infiltration zones. So this region, the tri-border area, Argentina, Brazil, and Paraguay, known safe haven for globalist financial laundering and weapons routing, tribunal warrants prepared for multiple banking officials, shipping magnates, and intelligence-linked diplomats, special operation task force operating under deep authority will execute asset seizure and capture protocols. After those three regions, Paraguay, Brazil, and Argentina, comes Panama, Costa Rica, and Honduras. Status, logistic choke points, identified as key smuggling corridors for narcotics, children, weapons, and digital surveillance tech. Alliance cyber command and counter trafficking operations embedded in joint maritime control hubs, command and control structures. All foreign operations will be managed through the Alliance Sector Command Nodes, ASCN, Alliance Sector Command Nodes. So the first one is Mexico. The second one is Colombia. Then comes Venezuela, Argentina, and even Ecuador, and of course Paraguay. They're also going to clean out Panama and the entire Caribbean. All right, that's all in the projects, guys. Maduro was just the first success. And so operators will report to the Global Oversight Board, number 7, which is an internal alliance tribunal review entity with authority over foreign command legality, and what they call rules of engagement. Okay, so the deep structure identification is this. The alliance analysis has confirmed that a coordinated ideological structure operating through secret societies and globalist steering organizations is responsible for the orchestration of political corruption across Latin America and the Western Hemisphere. It has been confirmed by command facilitators that an organization known as the Order of the Black Veil is a strategic advisory cell to the compromised leaders. The Knights of Malta, acting as a logistical broker and diplomatic shield for cartel regimes, and the Pan-Continental Globalist Federation. Have you guys ever heard of the Pan-Continental Globalist Federation? Well, that's one of the things that they discovered, which is a financing operation via energy offsets and green developing laundering. So each regional government targeted for oversight has been flagged for systematic compromise, not individuals' misconduct, but for being compromised by these 3 secret organizations. So the rules of engagement are this, okay? Civilian governments will be approached through back-channel surrender negotiations. Officials under sealed indictments may voluntarily cooperate or face covert extraction. Immediate media containment and communication shutdowns will follow all major operations. Foreign intelligence agencies known to harbor hostile actors will be neutralized or collapse via cyber ops. So the alliance forces will operate with full transnational immunity under Hemisphere Defense Directive 12-X. The objective is a clean hemisphere, beginning with the Latin America and Mexico. So the American hemisphere will not be partitioned by transnational criminal regimes or ancient shadow orders. Once the US is stabilized, the rest of the world will follow. And that includes the infamous Italian mafia in Europe, the Chinese triad, the Russian mafia, which is something that Putin has been trying to dismantle, and even the African cartels are all planned, or they're all going to be dismantled, okay? Not through war, but through surgical precision, quiet trials, and total dismantling of the entire supranational control grid. Each operation sets precedent. Each tribunal ends a dynasty. So this is the final phase of what they call the hemispheric cleanup, beginning with Mexico and Latin America. And so right after this, they're going to continue the operation in Europe, in Asia, or what they call Eurasia, including Russia, and of course in Africa. And this is the reason why Congress didn't approve Trump, right? Didn't agree with Trump in the taking out of Maduro. This is the reason why Trump had to circumnavigate this operation, overriding Congress, because this is a white hat operation, guys. And as you guys know, and as revealed over 60% of the US government, I would have to say about 80%, right? Senators, House of Representatives, 11 judges, as revealed, were all in on it. So this is the beginning of what we've all been waiting for, right? The takedown of the entire global infrastructure. And so I say the alliance is doing a pretty darn good job. Would you all agree? um, in either case, guys, I am excited. I feel like this year we're finally going to start seeing some huge changes taking place uh, due to the fact that these operations are well underway. And I also wanted to let you guys know that, um, yeah, that I am just ready to take some Q&A at this point. Let me go ahead and access the chat. I do want to give some shout outs. Jill Hunt is in the house. Eddie is in the house. Greg is in the house. Lee Starr is in the house. MJF, Melissa Harper, Project Skyfalls, and all 2,900 freedom fighters that are in the house. Welcome, welcome, everyone. Are you guys having a wonderful evening? I hope you guys are. And if you guys could type your questions in capital letters, that would be greatly appreciated as well. Yes, may God bless all those in harm's way. I agree with that. As they continue with these operations, beginning with the American hemisphere, and then as they continue on into Europe, Eurasia, and Africa, um, may all of the innocent people be secured and safe, right? Hopefully, there's not a lot of casualties, but I did hear that they did have to, they did use some small explosives, not atom bombs, but they did nuke Venezuela. I think they dropped about three different explosives, but they needed to in order to take down the military of Venezuela, which is run by a bunch of rebels, right? What they call the militia, the Venezuelan militia, which is very primitive, right? Very primitive. So they needed to take those people out in order to conduct a safe and successful arrest of Maduro. So it looks like we are in a positive timeline trajectory. We're going to be witnessing major arrest, and we are about to finally get everything that we've been told we were going to get, right? Debt free, the redistribution of wealth back to the people. So it's all heading into that direction. When will Nasera Gesera go into effect? I would say that at the end of the global cleansing, and of course, with the fallout of the globalist organizations that were apparently overseeing the entire criminal syndicate, then and only then will we be seeing the implementation of Nasera Gesera. But I think it's going to happen first in the States. I do believe that Trump will be destroying the fiat system and bringing XRP, Ripple, silver, gold into play. And then following Nasera, then we're going to have Gesera, which is the global, what they call the Global Economic Reformation and Security Act. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sonia. Appreciate that. Thank you so much for the super chat, Jade Austin. She says, "Thank you for all you do, brother. You are so welcome. The last 3 days I have been trying to purchase Folium. It is showing not available." Yeah, again, this product is high demand right now. So there are times where, it sells out because everybody wants to clean out their body. Everybody wants to detox from the graphene, from the nanoparticulates, and from all of the spraying. And so that is the reason why I always tell you guys, make sure you guys get your 3 months supply for a time where, it goes out of stock. But yeah, unfortunately, some of the folium is, I think one of them is out of stock. So um, hopefully it'll be back in stock soon because I know a lot of people want to detox their body from radiation and metals. What happened to the med beds on January 1st, 2026? Trump's announcement. Well, due to the operations that are taking place right now, they're probably not going to be releasing the med beds until this global purging, let's just call it a purging of the criminal syndicate and the globalist agencies behind them, uh, is completed. That's my guess. Okay. That's my guess. Just watched your show from October 13th. You were dead on onto what's going on now. I guess I did talk about that this was going to be happening a few months ago. Thank you for the reminder. Yes, military medbids are not out yet, that's for sure. What happened to Canadian? Well, part of the operation of purging the North and South American hemisphere is to also bring down the corruption in Canada. Thank you so much, Edward Wusick, for your donation, and thank you so much, Susan K, for your donation. I don't know what crystal I am wearing. I think it's chrysocolla. I'm not sure. Yes, we are also going to be taking Greenland. The alliance is planning on taking Greenland in order to expand Gitmo, because when they are done with this global purging, they're going to need a lot of facilities to throw all of the people that were associated with these networks. So I believe that Greenland is also going to be a huge alliance military base. And yes, eventually we're also going to be taking Canada. All right. Once we purge the corruption in Canada, Canada will be the 51st state. No, the Cabal does not watch my shows. I have special protection from the Galactic Alliance and Commander Valiant Thor. They don't have access to it. All right, somebody's saying that medbets could be released on the 2nd of April. That could be a big possibility, but again, I doubt it until the entire operation is done with, Then they're going to release all of these beautiful technologies. Thank you so much, CNN25, for your donation. Thank you so much, Divine Mage, for your donation. And your question is Enki, if Enki is the demiurge, was Sophia his mother, a reptilian without a soul? No. Enki is the demiurge of the Gnostic interpretation. However, his mother was known as Dramin, the queen of the Draco Empire. And if you take my class, our Cosmic Origin, which starts in 3 weeks, all of my classes are starting once again in 3 weeks on the 24th and 25th of January. I give you the entire galactic history, the entire history of the Nibirians, all the way from when they were first created in to the present moment. Okay, so I give you the whole history of the Niberians, the Anunnaki, and all of that. Thank you so much, Sonia Davies, for your super chat. Greatly appreciated. Yes, Rand Paul does know that he's in trouble, along with all those other traitors, which is about 90% of government. Congress, 11 judges, guys. They were all collecting from Maduro. This is huge. Thank you so much for the super chats. I appreciate the super chats, by the way. This is from MKLATUS. Thank you, Ishmael, for assisting us in staying in the know and keeping us positive during these times. You are so welcome. How much of the cleanup do you think will happen this year? I would have to say 100%, a good portion, based on the alliance briefings that I had access to, thanks to Commander Valley and Thor, anywhere from 6 months to 12 months. So it'll definitely be way before Trump's before his presidency is over. In other words, Trump has to do it. He only has 3 years left to clean out the deep state, break down the entire globalist structure, and restore the republic. Okay, he has less than 3 years now, to be exact. And for those that have been following for quite some time, we only have about 2 years left, give or take, where this matrix comes to a collapse. So something big has to happen. No, Enki is no longer a threat. He was the best way to describe it is he used a portal to enter an alternative universe because he is part cyborg now. He does have a residence within the Phantom Matrix, which is what we call the artificial multiverse that is inhabited by cybernetic intelligences. Yes, no, actually, I only slept 4 hours last night. So if my eyes look tired, is because I only slept 4 hours last night, and it took me 7 hours to put this presentation together. So I've been working all day. So, oh, thank you so much for your knowledge. You are so welcome. It's well, this comes from the Alliance, what I shared today. Okay, but you are so welcome. Yes, that is correct. For those that sign up to our Cosmic Origin class, at the end of the class, by tapping into your energy, into your higher self, I'm able to identify your star seed origin. And one of the beautiful things about taking a course with me is that it is on a webinar, it is interactive. And for all my new students, if you are taking a course for the first time, I ask you questions. I actually try to get to know you on a deeper level. So I do like to get to know a lot of the Galactic Jedis. And again, my next set of courses began on the 23rd and the 24th, which is in 3 weeks. And of course, you go to my website or cosmicorigin.com to access those classes. And this time it's just 2 weekends in a row, okay? 2 hours each, Saturday or Sunday, 2 weekends, and we're done with the course. Yes, Rand Paul is a baddie. Yes, he's actually a communist. I don't know who the Peter Walker show is. I've never been invited on that show. Will the quantum power box come out after the medbeds and QFS? Yeah, all of the advanced technologies will be rolled out after the entire purging, the global purging. Oh, you guys are so welcome. You guys are so welcome. So yeah, for all my new students, if you've never taken a course with me, one of the benefits of doing so is that I actually get to know you on a better level, on a personal level. I learn about your story, and so you could share anything you want with me. Oh, and as a reminder, guys, I will be presenting at the Los Angeles Conscious Life Expo this coming February from the 20th to the 22nd. However, my lecture is, I believe, on the 21st, which is on a Saturday. Let me just check the date at 4 o'clock, and the link is in the description. Yeah, so my lecture is on a Saturday, the 21st, at 4 o'clock in the rabbit hole room. That is right. When the republic is fully restored, and hence the sovereignty, the national sovereignties of the entire nations worldwide, then and only then will we pay taxes no more. That is correct. Um, do I have any ascension symptoms? I think we all do. We're all experiencing the ascension symptoms differently. And that explains why I only slept 4 hours last night. I woke up at like 3:30 in the morning and I couldn't go back to sleep after going to sleep at 11. And I couldn't go back to sleep. So I've been awake since 3 o'clock, 3:45 to be exact this morning. Thank you so much, Move to Moth, for your super chat and the little fox character. Yes, when they take out the corruption in Canada, just like the way they did it in Venezuela, it is going to be done very strategic with no mass casualties. Okay. So innocent people will not be hurt. And this is the reason why it takes time, guys. This is a very um, strategized operation. Because again, the alliance wants to do everything in their power to make sure that there's no casualties of innocent people. Okay, so this is an operation that is designed to only take out the baddies. Hello, Ishmael. Does all of these purgings have to happen before we have the GCR or global currency revaluation? Yes, it has to happen before the GCR. Absolutely. Thank you, Jill Hunt, for that wonderful compliment. It is my duty. It is my duty to bring you guys the intel and the details. Did you guys know that the alliance has been planning this since 2012, even before Trump uh, came into office in 2016? So yeah, this operation has been in the making for over 20 years. And this is the way in which the alliance was able to uncover that all of these criminal networks, including the Italian mafia, the trilads of China, and of course the Russian mafia, they all work within the secret society known as the Knights of Malta. And again, for those that have read The Secret Government, um, I lay down the 24 protocols of the learned elders of Zion. All right. One of those protocols was we will create criminal organizations in order to divert the attention over to them while we are, secretly consolidating world power. Right. So it's all explained in The Secret Government, Invisible Architects. Both of my books are available on Amazon for only like 24 bucks or 21. It fluctuates. But again, these are good reads. So if you guys really want to understand what's happening right now, get familiarized with some of these protocols and some of these details. Mm. So when will the public see the tribunals? As mentioned in my report, as soon as the entire global operation is completed. So for those that are just jumping on, I gave massive evidence, and I also detailed the entire agenda by the alliance to continue this operation, cleansing and purging the entire American hemisphere and then the rest of the world. And I also talked about some of the things that the alliance discovered as they were preparing for these operations since 2012. So make sure you guys watch this from the beginning. It's very informative. I hope things speed up. They said med beds were going to come out in what, January? And now I guess some of you guys are saying that April 4th. So, yeah, overall, guys, just know that in this war against evil, light is always on the winning side. Light is always on the winning side. Yes, we are going to witness the transition into the golden age, which is what I've been calling the positive timeline, the ascending positive timeline. And I believe that once they take out all of these baddies, then all the chemtrails, the weather modification technologies are all going to be neutralized as well. Yes, there will be people that are going to be trained in the medbed operations. That is correct. Oh, April 2nd. Okay, so medbeds, some people believe, are scheduled to be released on the 2nd of April. I hope that's the case. I hope that's the case. Thank you so much, Groovin, for your super chat. Do you know how we sign up for the RV redemption centers? Um, no, I don't. But I heard that um, due to the activation of the quantum freedom grid with the quantum financial system, which is going to be a living network, a conscious living network, based on your resonance, that conscious living network will identify you as a good person, and therefore you will be receiving some call to go to the redemption center. That is right. You will be contacted based on the frequency, if you're a good person, based on the frequency of your heart. How's that? So many good questions. Although the chat is going rather fast. Ishmael, will some folks only have a minute, very low amount of DNA activation? That's a very good question. Well, I've mentioned before that there's going to be different levels of superhumans. For the most part, all of the old souls, all of the volunteers, which is, I believe, everyone here, we're going to be going to the fifth dimension and above, where we're going to be using more than 40%, more than 50% of our full genetic material, depending on which dimension you go into. The higher you go, the more potential you use. However, the majority of humans that are Earth based Terrans, the younger souls, are not going to have these abilities. However, they will be upgraded, but only to live for a few hundred years in the fourth density Earth positive timeline. And we are going to have access to that reality. So not everyone's going to have the abilities, but there will be different levels of upgrades. Okay, there will be different levels of upgrades. No, I don't know who Tolik is. Yes, I do think Pan Bondi is a rhino, and I think I mentioned it last week, right? I revealed that they try to infiltrate Trump's cabinet, and Pan Bondi apparently was bought out, as well as what's his name, Cash Patel, who is dating his girlfriend is a honeypot. If so, yeah, Bondi is definitely compromised. Yes, eventually, when all of the corruption or all of the corrupt officials, including those that infiltrated Trump's cabinet, when they are arrested and removed, they will be replaced by white hat personnel. I do have a mailing address. Before I forget, let me give that out. For those that want to mail me anything, my mailing address is 1771 West State Route 89A, Suite B, box number 3015 in Sedona, Arizona, 86336. And I will not forget to pin it in the comments as well, along with the Folium link. Yes, it has been revealed that Bondi does have ties to the Bushes. That is correct. Who are the Y Hat personnel? The Y Hat personnel is a community of operatives within intelligence agencies, military, civilians that are actually good people that are not compromised or are not aligned with globalist agencies and are good people. They're always willing to do the right thing. So they are who the Y Hat personnel are. Okay, and eventually, when they eliminate all the bad people, everything will be replaced by Y Hat personnel, people that are full of integrity, people that are righteous, that are always doing the right thing for the people and by the people, people that cannot be corrupted, people that cannot be bought out. Those are the personnel of the White Hats. All right, one more question, guys. We are at the top of the hour in 30 minutes. One more question. The Alliance does watch my channel. They are making sure that I give the right information. So when you guys tell me to give thank you to the Alliance, they are actually reading the chat, I believe. So and the comments, so they know that you guys are very grateful for the work that they do. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your evening. Help my channel grow by sharing this with as many people as possible. And for all my new subscribers, thank you guys so much for being here. I do have one last super chat from the Lionsgate. And that is a question. I signed up for your 2.0 class, but there was no link or email. Um, you have to pay for the course to get the responding email with the link. I found out that some people were signing up, but without paying for it. So, in order for you guys to get a responding email with an actual link, you have to pay for the class. And guys, it's worth it. All right. Each class is only $100. I could literally be selling these classes for like 500, 1,000, but I choose to just make it affordable so that you guys can get educated. Okay, so go to my website, ourcosmicorigin.com, and secure your spot. My next cycle of classes begin on the 24th and 25th of this month, which is in 3 weeks. So may the God Force be with you all. I will see you guys in 2 nights for another update.